prosperity, reflection is first.
Right. But
and reflection leads to awareness.
Got it.
So
but,
if you have
but a lot of people don't know how to reflect.
Yeah, we do. We just don't understand the significance of reflection.
Got it.
Like nobody's ever. So I actually explained to, all of you multiple times that self-reflection is the key.
The key. Crucial.
The key.
Right.
Deprogram, reprogram, change, success, freedom, in that order.
Right.
So if we want to be free,
you can't skip with self-reflection.
It starts
Impossible.
with everything starts right there.
So if we're talking to somebody, if we look at somebody and they haven't changed and they have been the exact same, but they continue to talk about the change and what they want, what they desire, the self-reflection hasn't happened. They never did the self-reflection part.
Absolutely.
And then the other challenge is I do the self-reflection, but I don't see nothing. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it's, you know what? Nah, well, if you authentically do it, you will see something. There's something that you will see, and then you start there. I mean, Michael Jackson gave us the game.
Right. Man in the mirror?
Yeah. I'm starting with the man in the mirror. I'm asking him to change his ways. No message could have been any clearer. If I want to make the world a better place, take a look at myself and make the change. So boom, we start with reflection. Can you imagine, like so the other night we went to Monica's birthday party, right? When you put them clothes on, I know you looked in the mirror.
Yes.
I'm sure Monica looked in the mirror. I know Wendy did. I know I did. Like, can you imagine going all day without looking in the mirror? Like,
yeah, I can't.
Like, you can't. You don't know if something's in your beard, something in your teeth. So I did the other day I did a whole live Zoom call, and I had a piece of thing in my beard. I killed that call, bruh. I went to go back to grab a micro. I was like, the only way I'm using this if I put the words across my fucking chin. Yeah, man. I murdered this call. I'm telling you, I could have took 30 micros from the joint.
It could have just been like gray hair.
Huh? Yeah,
like a piece of gray hair.
I kept looking at the joint, right? I kept looking at it, said, this might be a gray hair.
Yeah, that's a gray hair.
I can use it if it's gray hair. I can use it if it's gray hair. But it bothered me so bad.
But only you knew it wasn't.
Because I reflected on it and I saw it, B.
So what'd you do?
That little thing bothered me so bad, no matter how much I was saying, no matter what I was spitting, no matter how much it made everybody feel good, I knew that little thing was there because I did reflection. Because I had to
So what did you do with it?
Scrap that shit.
Did you? The whole thing?
Scrap the whole joint. I ain't even went back to it. I'm trying to feel like, maybe I extract the audio, put it on a graphic or something like that.
Yeah. You couldn't even do the audio?
No, I can do the audio.
Okay,
what I'm saying is, in hindsight now, after reflection, I'm saying, how reflection made me feel.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? Right. So let me give you some super dope game. So when I wrote Prison of Prosperity, and now, Prison of Prosperity is all about self-transcendence. Right. At the end, you literally go from, doing good and having success to transcendence.
Right.
Now, if you can, just look up the word transcendence real quick. It means like to cross over or beyond, where we are, right? You know what I mean? Or where you're trying to go even above and beyond that, right? So, when this is all from a self-actualization standpoint and stuff like that, and it actually the whole model starts with reflection. So you go from reflection to the concept.
Right.
Well, no. Let me go to this. Self-reflection to awareness.
Got it.
And that's the consciousness. So once you see that you got something in your beard or in your teeth or on your clothes, now you're aware, like, I'm either going to change this or I'm going to just be like, I'm going to rock with it. You know what I'm saying? One of the two. 9 times out of 10, we're going to go change our clothes. We're going to wipe this stuff off. We're going to fix our stuff, whatever it is.
Right.
But it makes us aware of the fact that something's there. You know what I'm saying?
Right. So do you think if someone did the reflection you did in that same situation, right? And they saw the little thing in their beard and they didn't scrap it and they used it.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
It's just mean that person was probably more confident in that flaw, but that flaw may not have.
Was it a flaw?
Well, I'm using that word as
right. I know, but
more than that.
But that's a strong word. That's a strong word.
Yeah. Well, so
in the creation process.
All right, so here's the reason why I'm using the word flaw, because on social media, it's a visual platform.
Right.
Now, in order for me to get this, because what I'm giving is like, this is intellectual stuff that I'm giving.
Right.
And I'm trying to catch some people that are not really there for intellectual property. They're not really there for that kind of exchange.
Right.
So you have to actually catch them on the visual tip first. That's why we put the high quality images out there.
Right.
That's why we have, the dope audio. You have to catch them on all these levels first before we get to,
So you don't think the value of the intellect will over or supersede the lack of a better term, the flaw? You don't think?
Bro, do you know how superficial we are as a culture, as a society?
Now I want to see it.
You want to see it?
I want to see it.
That ain't that bad.
I swear, I'm gonna be like, but still, but it's the quality. It's the quality of what you were serving up on that video
for you, because you're intellectual. You're an intellectual.
Yeah.
So you're looking at that first. You might not even pay me no mind. Like, you might be listening to what's going on, not even looking at the joint.
A lot of times I do, like podcasts, things like that. Yeah,
absolutely.
Sure.
Now, for other people, it's pure entertainment. All this shit is entertainment.
It's like, how dare you though? If it was that dope and it could help so many people,
for me,
how dare you throw it away?
How dare you throw it out? For it to help, because I'm gonna do it over.
Oh man!
Because I'm set up.
You ain't gonna have the same. You ain't gonna have the same.
Might not. No, definitely.
Light is not gonna
be in the spirit. It's not gonna be. It's not gonna have that same energy. But far as the content is concerned, I'm still going to deliver it in a manner where nobody. There's only 40 people on the call, so those 40 people, are the only ones that actually live the moment.
I want to know what they think. I wonder if they even noticed it. I wonder if they, you know what I'm saying? But they might not have been paying attention to. They might not have been like, they might have been doing something else and not paying attention to the visual aspect of it.
You know how we are on the Zoom calls these days.
Oh, I swear.
On the Zoom joint, we just. But yeah, I think we should go back into.
They was probably on there like, yo.
Oh yeah,
nobody.
They probably was on the Zoom.
Nobody wouldn't give me no signs.
Yeah. Plus, you kind of small on the phone, little square stuff for other people. You know what I'm saying? But me, I'm editing. I'm looking at the, I'm looking at the whole shot. But forget all that, man. We was on to something. We on the consciousness and awareness and all that stuff. So,
but it's like I think there's another part of that too, because it's like I
want to give you a real part. Let me give you a real part,
right.
and then I'll throw it back to you after that. So we went to the jail. And we did the daddy-daughter dance.
Right.
And what people don't know is I actually, made the brothers, the inmates, put some skin in the game. So they had to write an essay on what fatherhood meant to them to be a part of the actual program, which was dope. So we had 3 brothers read their letter at the actual dance and everything. Right. And it was so powerful. I'm talking about, we was in there, like everybody was crying and stuff like that. It was just so dope. But one of the brothers that are reading the letter, his 2 daughters are 30. But in order for him to write this letter, he had to go back to a place in which he was not incarcerated. He went to a place of freedom to actually write the letter. He had to do reflection, and he transcended the walls of the jail for those moments. Nobody was locked up when he was reading that letter, and nobody was locked up when he was writing the letter. Now, if you want to experience freedom on that level on a daily basis, then self-reflection needs to be a conscious living practice like journaling. We can literally reflect on each day by making journaling a conscious living practice. But what people don't understand, nobody has ever taught them that self-reflection leads you to deprogramming, which is letting go of some of the things that has happened to you today or where you're at right now and escaping that or it's heavy. So putting it down.
So it's more of a continuous process, right? It's not like, it's kind of like,
cyclic.
Like I was taught about prayer, right? A lot of times people, they got a certain time that they pray, but prayer is a conversation with God. And I have a conversation with God while I'm driving, right?
Absolutely.
So the same thing when it comes to reflection, I don't have to stop and say, okay, let me self-reflect right now, or something that doesn't really serve me happens. That's when I don't need a trigger,
right,
to do the self-reflection. It's like it's a constant thing,
right. But if we have a trigger, it makes it more habitual.
Absolutely.
And if we're conscious of the trigger or when we put it, so if we put it in a part where so if this is right before we're going to go to bed every night, and if we make it so that we do this before we go to bed, then going to bed or getting into bed is the trigger for us to actually pick up the journal and do the reflection.
Got it.
You understand what I'm saying?
Got it.
So that
what's the
it.
importance of writing down the self-reflection?
Well, one thing is we got to get the stuff out of our head.
Right. Yeah, I forget. Yeah.
It's this. It's every time you write something, it's the first time you bring it to its physical manifestation. You understand what I'm saying? So
absolutely.
If we want to make something true or get rid of something, then here's the easiest way. So I had taking notes. It's like making space. So like you have all these thoughts in your head, but it's like a closet,
right?
And or a vault. And if all these thoughts are there, then let's make room for some new ones and let's put them on paper. So if I get them out of my head, then I can let the paper think for me, and I can put some new stuff in the vault.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? Like, it's super deep, but nobody ever has these type of conversations.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Writing for me is it's almost like meditation.
Absolutely.
Right. Because when I'm writing, I can't think about anything else.
Nope.
Except what I'm writing. Or even if somebody tries to talk to me, I can't even respond because I'm writing.
Because you're writing.
Yeah, so it's almost like a form of meditation, which is making deposits into my subconscious.
Absolutely.
So
it's therapy. It's fine. The journaling, writing, it's all therapy.
Right.
And when you sit down and you talk, they talk about what comes to your mind. You write, you do the same thing. You write down what's on your mind. You start to write that stuff down. Right. And these things are heavy. These thoughts are heavy. These things, you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, especially during these times, man. The world seems crazy right now. So after I master the art of reflection,
yes,
and I do that honestly,
yes,
you should come
to some type of awareness.
I should come okay. So then the awareness, that's going to be like that's like the results of the assessment. That's like the diagnosis.
Yeah,
right? Almost like I'm diagnosing.
So you walk to the mirror.
Yeah.
The mirror gives you the reflection.
Right.
And then the reflection allows you to see something.
Right. Okay.
Awareness is seeing it.
Right.
And
now the caveat with all of this, it has to be done in honesty. Right.
Yes.
It's like, I don't know if you
see what you see.
I was about to say, I don't know if you've been to therapy, but we know you ain't never been to therapy.
Yeah.
Because you your own therapist.
This shit therapy right here, B.
I know. You're right. You're right. It is a form of it. But if people that have gone to therapy, for a lot of people, it doesn't work because they're not honest.
Okay.
Right. So you got to have the honest reflection.
Yeah. Honest self-reflection.
Then it's going to bring honest awareness, or it's going to bring awareness, but you got to be honest about what you see.
Yeah. Or what you want to see.
Right. Oh, what you mean? What you want to see?
So
when I get the awareness, the awareness, it is right. It's not what I'm becoming. It is.
Yeah, but I saw a piece of lint, and then somebody else saw a piece of lint that didn't do nothing to them. I saw a piece of lint that stopped me. I saw a piece of lint that didn't allow me to use that thing. So it's what I want the reflection to be. I spilled some coffee on my joint. Man, coffee ain't bothering me, or I got to take this shirt off. Like you understand what I'm saying? Like, I got a couple tank tops now that them joints is mildew. As soon as I get a whiff of them shits, it's like, man, I got to get this fucking shirt off me, man. Right. God damn, it's messing up everything.
So you got a completely white shirt, right? And you got a spot of ketchup on it. That means that's done. You gotta get rid of the shirt.
For me, yeah.
So it like less than 0.5% of the shirt is damaged. You gotta get rid of it.
Yeah, I mean, if I can't get it out, I'm gonna see if Wendy got the OxyClean.
Right,
you know what I mean? Like,
but if
so
she
I
can't
got
get
this
it out, that's
Lululemon
gone.
shirt. I'm telling you, I got this Lululemon shirt. It just says like something about moving and something like that. And I really like it. It's a plain shirt. It's all white and it's got just a saying right here. And it's pretty dope. But it had this couple red things on it for like forever, and I don't know if it was like rubbed up against something. And I had washed it and everything.
Right.
And then something just told me, man, just go spray it again and wash it one more time or something. And I sprayed it and washed it, and it came out. But for like 2 months,
you didn't wear it.
that shirt was trash. I'm lucky I didn't.
So
throw
you
it away.
wouldn't wear it. You wouldn't work out in it. You wouldn't do nothing. That was it
was
because of that spot. Wow.
Yeah, that shit was gone.
Wow. So when I get my awareness and I see a spot, then what though?
Yeah,
I got to clean the spot. What if I can't clean that spot out?
Well, it makes you act in a certain manner. So, but let me break it back down real quick. So I know you talk about shirt and all that stuff, but this leads you to what we would call, so in this whole thing that we're talking about right now is going to take my self-esteem and stuff like that down. But all that's under self-concept. So with self-concept, it breaks down into a couple things. You got your self-esteem, you got your your ideal self, and there's one more. Your so what people think of you, your self-image. Your self-image, how you see yourself,
and
yourself. Then you got your self-esteem, how the estimate that you put on it.
How important is it of how people see me? Does it matter?
Yeah, definitely. It's gonna matter because it's the way you process it all.
Yeah.
So that's why I got rid of the video, because people were going to see me a certain way because of the cotton in my beard. And when you said,
does that translate to other,
them people.
Does that translate to other things though?
Absolutely. Yeah. Wow. That's why people lie. That's why you get your Ferrari, you get your stuff, and then you hide behind this stuff. And then you never come from behind that stuff.
I heard an interesting take on that. Like the shiny things, like the Ferraris and all that, that people aren't impressed by the person driving the Ferrari. They're impressed by the Ferrari.
Yeah, absolutely.
They ain't impressed by the paddock.
Yeah,
I mean, the person wearing the paddock, they're impressed by
what we think.
I know.
Here's what we think.
That's deep.
Now, let me tell you what I'm saying. Look, I'm gonna fuck them up with this one.
Right.
This is what they say.
But they care less about the individual.
They're
impressed by the car. They're like, man, I want to drive one of those. But the individual, so all of that, if you are attaching the labels and the shiny things to you because you think it's going to impress somebody, it's not impressing people.
Well, and then there's your self-esteem.
Right.
There's your self-esteem.
Got it.
There's the value that you place. So when you break all that stuff down, it's dang, well, who's placing the value on it? Is it the people placing the value on it, or is it me placing the value on the thing so that I can have value for myself? You understand what I'm saying?
Oh, so it's I'm borrowing the significance of this thing.
Yes.
To help make
to bring me up.
Significant.
Yes, exactly.
Got it.
So now you have to figure out, so esteem come from estimate, but the estimate comes from an appraiser. So when you get an appraisal on a house, it comes from an appraiser. Now you have to figure out who the appraiser is.
I can't think that fast.
Go ahead.
The estimate comes from the appraisal.
Esteem is an estimate, and the estimate comes from appraisal, just like your crib.
Right.
Yeah. When you get an estimate or appraisal on your house, they send out an appraiser.
Right. Okay.
Now, based off of what this guy is going to say, he's going to give you the value of your house. Right. But what we don't understand is what we actually do inside the house could raise the value of the estimate or the appraisal.
Right.
And we have to understand that the more work we do in and on our house, the higher the appraisal will be, regardless of who they send out to give the appraisal. That's deep right there, bro.
But for me, man, it seems like the only appraiser that
now you talking
important
that you're talking
my appraisal.
Now, yours and the creators, and if you're created in the image, then your self-image should be the highest of the high already. Right. But until we get it to the reflections of, it doesn't matter what other people think, it only matters what I have inside of me, and what I project, and where I'm going, because that's where your ideal self is. So with Ideal Self, I teach people how, this is dope, but I teach people how to come up with a superhero concept,
Right.
so that the idea of where they could actually be or what they can actually do is, is the imagination takes over.
Wow.
And you know what I mean? Go ahead.
So social media is taking advantage of that.
Or lack of that, a lack of all that.
Like
Because
100%.
that's going to lead to the love that you have for yourself.
Right.
The higher I praise myself, the more self-love I actually have.
Right. Because people seek praise slash
validation.
appraisal
Yes.
from, the clicks, the likes,
From the appraisers.
Right.
Yes. That's why we have a double tap button. That's why we have a like button.
Right.
It has a heart on it.
Right.
And we're emotionally tied to we have to give emotional response to what we see.
Right.
And we're conditioned now to move off the emotion
Right.
just by our everyday activity. And look how many times we got to do this. And look what we're conditioning.
Wow.
To immediately attach an emotion to what we see.
And so if you seek praise because you've never gotten praise, or you haven't done that work internally, then you're going to swipe to get
all
that,
day. You're going to be on social media all day. You're going to make posts all day. You're going to edit all day until you get it perfectly right, so you can get more appraisers, more appraisal, more estimates, more likes, more hearts, more emotions, so that you can put those in and make them of you and say, man, I'm going to fuck them up with this one.
Right. Right. So you're seeking that dopamine and that serotonin. And
you get the dope, baby.
You gotta get that drug.
Now you're talking.
So I read something that says that, the thing that could replace social media is if everyone tapped into gratitude and lived their life in gratitude. Because if you live your life in gratitude, you are content where you are right now. Right. And content being that, okay, I'm good where I am right now. Now I want more and I want another level of whatever it is. But right now I'm satisfied. I'm grateful. And that produces the same level of dopamine and serotonin. But we don't live in gratitude.
You're talking too heavy for them.
We don't live in gratitude. We live in, I gotta have the next, because this world is so materialistic and tied to so many materialistic things that it's always a chase, right? And if you're always chasing something, then that thing is always fleeing from you. Right. Versus if I don't know if you ever had a pet and you're chasing that pet.
You said we gotta let it come.
Absolutely.
Let it flow.
Exactly. I gotta let it come to me. I have to attract it versus me chasing it. Right. Yeah. It's like I don't know if you ever had a puppy, but if you try to, if the puppy thinks you're chasing it.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Right. Versus you just sit still and then the puppy will kind of at some point just kind of meander back to where you are. Right. Yeah. But if I chase it, the puppy's going to run. It's going to run from me. So you're in a constant state of chasing something versus attracting it.
Great. So what just came to me while you were saying that is you're 100% right.
Right.
But remember we were talking about the chakras.
Yeah.
So the sacral, the sacral chakra is the I feel.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And
the
with
heart.
and with the I feel. No, not the heart. No, not the heart. The heart is the I love.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, but you're
right.
close because the sacral's close, right? So you got the I feel, and with the I feel, it's actually gratification. Yeah, that's the actual gratification part. So if we're struggling with this, we actually have affirmations that begin with the I feel to open up the sacral plexus, right? And so that we can literally attract those things on that level, which is
but it all goes back to the appraisal. Right. I feel this way because I'm not getting the praise or the appraisal that I seek and that I feel like I need. So I that work has to be done inside of me, right? In order for me to feel the gratitude that we're talking about. That will ultimately give me the dopamine. It will give me the serotonin. It will attract things that I need to me. And the whole notion of being in that state has physical ramifications.
Yes.
Blood pressure lowers.
Yes.
I have more peace. A1C lowers. My ability to fight off, disease increases. It just operating in a state of of gratitude.
And you're spot on, because it offers you the openness to follow what feels joyful. You understand what I'm saying? Like, so once you tap into this, or once you open it or activate it, then now you can follow what feels joyful. So once you express that gratitude, you actually follow that, as opposed to chasing it, and you open it up for it to come to you and attract it.
And my whole perspective changes also if I function in gratitude.
Absolutely.
I see stuff that I never saw before. Right. And I changed my attitude.
But you put it in the chat the other day. You was like, yo, you get a choice.
Yeah, exactly.
Getting to do something puts you in a state of gratitude. Absolutely. That was so powerful when you did that.
Yeah, like, I didn't realize that at the time.
So what was dope was we fed 125 people some meals that are in transition, some homeless people yesterday. And I put the link in to say, anybody want to, help out, here's the link, and you guys can do this. And we talked about the cost of how much it cost. It only cost us $5 a plate, and they had some really good food and everything. Like, they didn't just have hot dogs and hamburgers. So they didn't have hot dogs and hamburgers and that's it. They had baked chicken. They had
was it mac and cheese?
No, it was rice. We had kind of like the Spanish rice type of stuff, and we had green beans, we had gravy, we had rolls and all that stuff. Right,
it was a meal.
They had a meal. Right. But we got this cost for $5. We got this for $5. So somebody donated $20. Okay. Right? Which is like, but they were like, yo, this all I had, this, that, and third. I said, bro, you just fed four people that wouldn't have ate that day.
That's huge.
That changed this whole perspective.
That's huge. Absolutely.
You get to feed four people with that 20 that you think is just like a Chick-fil-A joint. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just thought you want to go here, get an extra fry, you spent $17. But you fed four people that are now going to be in a state of gratitude themselves, because when those people came through the line, bro, those people were like, yo, we really appreciate y'all for doing this, man. Yeah. God bless y'all, man. This means so much to us, man. That right there, I didn't have to be anywhere else. You know what I'm saying? It's middle of the day. We busy as hell. You know what I mean? But at that point, like you said, to your point, I didn't have to be anywhere else.
I bet your whole mental and physical state was in a different place just during that time period.
Absolutely. The frequency.
Yeah,
that frequency. So when you look up, man, I gotta send you this graph. I'm gonna pull it up one day. But if you look up the frequency of gratitude, where that is all the way at the top of, and you're gonna love this too. Let's try to find this gratitude. EA, you think you can find it over there on the web for me, man? No, maybe just pull up the frequency of gratitude, if you can type that in, like your search, and it should give a graphic with like a cone type of
like the
so pull that, if you pull up that image, it's a cone like a sphere, right? And with this, gratitude is like right around joy, peace, and love is like right up there. So when you look at it, you see 540 like megahertz. It's all the way up there. It's almost at the highest level of frequency that we can actually operate on. So when we get all the way to the top, that's that transcendence that I'm talking about, that enlightenment. Yeah. That's that expanded consciousness. Right. So if you look at the chart, it actually says like ultimate consciousness or expanded consciousness. Yep. When you look and see like where you're at when you're on a lower frequency,
shame, guilt, apathy, grief, fear, desire.
Boom. But look at the consciousness. Look how it contracts.
Yeah.
Now, when I'm feeling shame, when I'm feeling grief, when I'm feeling pain, when I'm upset with people, my consciousness contracts, and guess what? It constricts, and nothing can get in there or get out of it. If I'm looking for ways out of pain, if I'm looking for ways out of solutions to not be angry and not be hurt, it can't get in there because my consciousness is now constricted. Right. Nothing can get in or out. You understand what I'm saying? Yep. And the only way we can do that is if we actually consciously choose a state of gratitude, which expands our consciousness. So
and that's
now,
the thing. It's a choice.
You can consciously choose.
You can consciously choose it. And so that was back to that.
But if we're in our feelings,
what you mean?
If we're in our feelings, if we're in a mood that has us in a bad mood, then
we got to snap
out of that. takes over
Absolutely.
our conscious choice.
Right.
Because now the body
But
knows
that's a
how to do
conscious
this.
decision to allow the mood to take over.
Not exactly.
Why?
Because
Because I can decide not to let the mood take over, right?
because you've done it so many times that now your body knows how to do it better than your mind.
Right. It's
This is
easier
your
to
program
do. Right.
now.
Yeah, that's the program. Right.
Yes, this
right.
is your program. This is
Right.
what I do. This is how I do. I shut down, and y'all, man, we might try it tomorrow. Because right now, you better not
Right
say
now,
nothing to me.
Yeah, I've been in those spots. Now's not a good time. Yeah, come back.
Exactly.
Give me a couple hours or give me a day. Come back.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So now, if we want to help some people out right now, whenever you get in those type of moods, the first thing you need to do is you need to take 5 seconds and just say thank you.
Thank you. I swear.
If
For
you could
anything.
just say thank you
For anything.
and find
For
one
breathing.
thing that you could be thankful for.
Like just being able to say thank you.
Yes.
Just because a lot of people can't say thank you. Just
But-
being able to say thank you.
But we want them to tie that to something because that one something would actually get them into a more positive state. So give me one thing that you're thankful for, or right, and then give me 5 reasons why.
Right.
You know what I mean? So if I'm just thankful to be alive, I have 5 reasons why. Because if I was dead, then my kids wouldn't have no father. If I was dead, then I would leave my wife here to shoulder all this stuff by herself.
Right.
If I was dead, then, you know what I mean, I wouldn't be here to be a blessing to, you know,
Whomever.
everybody with my gift. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Now, I done took that frequency and, I done dialed in now. You know what I'm saying? You're like,
man, when I look at this chart, the gratitude frequency chart, the stuff at the bottom is easy.
Yeah, super easy to choose.
To tap into. It's
Yeah.
easy to tap
we
into.
waking up in that though. Now here's the science.
But hold on, one other point to that. I can right now, right? So at the very bottom is shame. At the very top is before enlightenment. The very top is peace. I can give you 1,000 examples that can justify shame in my life. I can give you 10
Absolutely.
examples.
Off the top.
I can give you 10
Off gate.
that will justify or give you an example of peace in my life. So now it's a battle out the gate mathematically. I got 1,000, also at the very bottom is guilt and apathy. So I got tons of examples of the things at the bottom of this list compared to the things at the top of this list, like peace, joy, and love.
Yep. Now,
So it's the fight is fixed out the gate,
it's fixed.
which means we got to do a lot of work
Not really.
to get to the top. You don't think so? Because like you said, people have been operating in that lower frequency. They've been operating in shame, guilt, and apathy and grief, and it's easy, right? And actually, it brings people discomfort sometimes to even move towards the peace, joy, and love because
Absolutely.
they're comfortable with the shame, the guilt, and the apathy.
Yep. Because
Right?
they're programmed. Yep.
Because of the programming.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Whew.
You're absolutely right. So what I do is I actually get them to flip that or change that or reverse that with the words that they use. So the first thing, when I ask them, how they're doing, they're picking a word that actually is
Of a
on
higher frequency.
75, 100, 125. Like they're
Right.
picking a word is like when you look at the joint, you about to say, dang. So here's what you don't know is that the normal frequency in which you actually resonate on, like just on a regular level, is like around 75. It's like it's already there. So you wake up there.
Wow.
That's why it's easy. You already wake up
Wake
there.
up on that lower end of the spectrum.
On that low end of the spectrum. Yeah, that low
Wow.
frequency. You about to wake up there.
And
So you got to be conscious about like bringing it up.
You have to, you got to wake up and be conscious about.
You got to wake up in
going
prayer,
up.
wake up in gratitude. You got to wake up in,
Right.
you know what I mean? That's the reason why I do the affirmations. I have all the stuff like in line and in place because nobody's aware of that shit.
Right.
So
One of
I
my
just force
mentees,
it.
by the way, man, you got a mentee and you want to make sure that you add value to their life. Like when you spend time with them, right?
Yeah.
We've been doing for the last 5 or 6 sessions, going through the affirmation cards. The affirmation cards that you created, and literally we go through one during this. We probably get through 4 or 5. We spend about an hour together every other week, and we get through 4 or 5 because we deep dive on what it means to him. Give me some examples of how you can do these things, and so that is and like I see. There's visible change in his attitude. There's visible change in just
gratitude.
his, man. Gratitude. So I just wanted to share that with you. The other thing that's so you got the contracted, your consciousness is contracted at the bottom because of all those things, but then you have the expansion at the top. The expansion really doesn't start until you are 3/4 of the way up the list.
Yeah, you gotta get pretty high to expand your consciousness. Yes.
Man,
yes,
again, the fight is fixed.
Intentional. You have to be intentional about it.
You have to be intentional because it's a bunch of stuff you got to get through to get to the place where your consciousness can expand, which will give you the transformation that you're looking for.
That's why my coaching sessions cost so much money.
Right.
As all the work we actually have to do. I'm talking about my personal coaching sessions cost so much because of all the work we have to do to get rid of your stinking thinking, to expand your consciousness enough to let all the fucking answers come in.
If you get somebody to enlightenment or even peace, you got to bust through shame, guilt, apathy, grief, fear, desire, anger, pride,
courage.
You got to bust through all of that just to get close to someone being able to have an expanded consciousness so they can have the self-reflection, have the awareness to move towards transformation.
Yeah, honestly. Right.
Dang.
Yeah. And avoid the other people that are at a lower level.
That are on that frequency. To get away from them. Yeah.
And that's why.
That's a whole nother.
Because people say,
do you think these business people are followers? Do you think they checked out already? I think we might have to move. We had to move on. You think this is interesting them or what?
I don't care. I don't care.
Okay.
I don't care because I know it's going to help one person.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Because
shout out to that one person.
Because what EA just suggested is I can do all this work to climb this ladder, to climb this, ladder of consciousness, but I can be knocked right back down by the people I hang around.
Absolutely.
Because of the frequency they're operating. I can't, I think some people think that they can
override or something.
Yeah, I think they think they are immune to that low frequency. Yeah, no. But that's why your grandma told you to make sure your friends are, legit, because that low frequency person can bring you back down.
Absolutely.
And so people also, they say, well, you don't have to get rid of your friends. You ain't gotta get rid of them, but I mean, you pick, right? Are you going to allow them to bring you back down after you got into a certain level of consciousness? Because it's going to happen. We can't avoid it, right? It's a law. That's
social circles.
That's crazy.
All right, so I got a question.
Go ahead.
What you got, EA?
So in lighting of what this is, right? I'm gonna ask you guys a question. So where is the NFL and Colin Kaepernick in this sphere right here, in terms of, because we know that Colin Kaepernick basically wrote a letter out to the New York Jets, basically requesting a tryout to be a part of their practice squad.
I think in terms of the sphere, or just in general, in terms of the sphere, there's a lot of there's a lot of anger, there's a lot of guilt, there's a lot of nobody wants to have the courage. There's a lot of there are people who are neutral right now. There's a lot of pain that's been caused behind this on both sides. You got to figure, people were super hurt about the flag. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Right.
Just because of where they stand. Right. And then there was people who are there's bad things happening to our people here. So there's a lot of pain there. So I think, we're at the lower end of the sphere, but it doesn't mean it's a bad thing. And you want me to tell you why?
Why?
Because when you're conscious of the middle part of the sphere, it actually allows for flow. Okay. So in the middle, you
flow for who?
Flow for anything. but you have to be conscious of where you are on a joint. So the middle part is there's a duality to it because you have acceptance, you have courage, you have neutrality. So if I can be neutral in a situation and then I can have the courage to go forward or step back, or if I can accept what has been done and where we're going, and there's so much range right here that things can flow in and things can flow out. So this is a different space, but you have to be very conscious of it when you're there. And if you don't know what's going on, then you're just at a standstill in this space. But if you hit and you did the reflection and you're honest and your stuff, you like, yo, it is what it is, and if it comes, it comes. If it goes, it goes. But I'm not forcing nothing. Like, you know what I mean? You could actually be right here and be open to what's next.
Do you think Kaepernick feels like he has something to prove?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And so that has to do with that appraisal thing we just talked about, and he's not getting the approval from or the appraisal from other sources.
Yeah, I think so when you talk about having something to prove, man,
and most of the times, do you have to prove it? Do you have it to prove to yourself, or do you have it to prove to others?
Well, I think at this point, it's like, let me go back out there and show people that I still got something in the tank.
Yeah.
And sometimes we kind of crown ourselves as like the people's champ or the savior, or and now it's just like they counting on me, and this is for the people, or it's for the home team, or what I mean. So he's got a lot of stuff going on here, man. It's a lot of stuff going on. I would love to see him come back and kill something and win. You know what I mean? Like it's
I don't know. I mean, plus he tried to sue the institution that he's trying to be a part of again.
Yeah, I mean he did. I mean he got the bread. He got the bread.
Right.
Yeah, so I mean, they don't owe him nothing now because they paid him.
But
they gave him the bread.
What does Lynch do? You own the team. Would you give him a shot?
Nah, not after I paid him. Not after you sued me. You gave me some money, man. Get your ass on, man.
Yeah, it's time to go. Time to boogie. Time to keep it.
Yeah. So he might, he might get a shot from a black owner or something like that. You know what I mean? We got to get one.
My Commanders might give him a shot, right?
Yeah.
I doubt that.
Man. At the end of the day, it's a business decision. You got board members. You got all this different type of stuff. And I don't know. 30-something might be over the damn hill, man. You ain't played in 6-7 years. How many years has it been?
Brady played till 40-something, man.
Yeah, but he was playing.
All right.
Yeah, that
Cap been working.
Timing is different.
Cap said he been working.
Timing is different.
6-7 years.
Yeah, that's a lot of timing. Like, you saw what happened to Vic when he sat out for 2 seasons. 2 seasons, and you talking about somebody that was super superior with
especially on that level, man. That the speed and just the strength of those cats, the intelligence of those cats.
That game be changing quick.
Yeah. All right, so I got to go do some self-reflection when I leave here, so I can get some awareness, so I can increase my consciousness and vibrate on a higher level.
Frequency.
Exactly.
All so that you can have that self-love.
You ever argue with somebody vibrating on a lower frequency?
Yeah, every day.
How do you do that?
Shit, what you mean?
How you do that?
Every day I deal with these damn.
How do you do that though?
What you mean?
It's like just speaking 2 languages. Somebody speaking Chinese, somebody speaking Japanese.
Yeah.
So how do you navigate through that? Because I'm sure people.
You got a woosah.
You got a woosah, but you don't. So you can't. But you can't come to a conclusion.
Man, I come down.
You can get your opinion. You can get your opinion across. You can get your viewpoint across, and you can get your feelings.
Health fair,
but you're not gonna get. You're not going to get to a resolution,
bro. Let me tell you something. This shit bring me down, dog.
What?
Coming to their frequency and trying to get.
So it brings you down.
Yeah, it bring me down. But I have to
But my point is, you can't bring somebody up.
People deaf, dumb, and blind. I try all day long.
Deaf, dumb, and blind.
Yeah, deaf, dumb, and blind.
All right.
Yeah, I can't. No, you can't. So
but I guess my point is, if I'm vibrating low, you vibrating high, why are you gonna argue with me? Why not just walk away?
Because I'm conditioned to.
But it's just like beating your head up against the wall.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay,
yep.
all right.
Yes, and that's why I'm tired right now.
I guess, so to help somebody with that, Should they just like, about face and walk away?
Well, sometimes you just gotta be like, you're right. Yeah, you're right.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Now, look, I just want to say this real quick. I just came from a health fair, and I'm watching people who are literally like, their clothes look like curtains.
Okay.
Curtains that from the house. So clearly you're
fashion wise, or they big?
The clothes?
Yeah, you mean fashion wise? They look like curtains, or they're just like big.
You're wearing
big
that much shit to cover
extra
up
stuff.
what you got going on.
Got it.
All right, now when I say one thing about we work out at 5 o'clock, we work out at 6 o'clock. I ain't doing all that. But you did all that shit to cover that shit up, and you won't even. You ain't trying to do.
But if you say that, did you say that?
Fuck you, man. Yeah, I said it. Yeah, this is what I do, dog.
Now you know he said that.
I said, yeah.
I wanted it on record that he said
this is the shit that I do. And Mike looks at me like, yo, you gonna mess the money up. Like,
that's what Mike said.
I mean, he just looks at me like, yo, you can't be saying that type of stuff. Like, well, you fix it and clean it up because I'm not dealing with that
so
right there.
Mike's the good cop.
That's not my avatar. Yeah, we do that shit all the time. We go back and forth. Good cop, bad cop. I walk away, he smooth it out. You know what I mean? We got it down to a science and everything.
That's
but
hilarious.
They do need to hear, like, I got to show them the mirror. So in my first book, 7 Levels of Discipline, Matters of Success, I use the mirror effect. I literally am the person who shows everybody the mirror. You know what I'm saying? They rock with me.
Right.
Yeah, most people rock with me.
So how did the people that you said that to at the health fair, how did they go, he crazy, and they leave, or did they go, you know what, you right?
Yeah, so the good part is like I have a lot of people who kind of like they're walking up and with the influence that we have and the platforms that we have now, people are walking up and say, I heard your voice. Like, I knew that was you from the news.
Right.
Like, so now they don't actually have to know me from the gym. Like, I've already added value to them, from the news segments.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And it's pretty dope. So they know, like, I've been already, dropping things into their subconscious mind from the, advice that the expert advice that I've been giving on the news, which is pretty dope. Now it's just like, all right, he's probably saying this out of love because I watch him every week and he's literally giving some of the dopest advice like that I've ever, kind of heard or stuff like that. You know what I mean? So he's just probably trying to jam my perspective up or something.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's all good.
What's so I started just because of changes in my schedule. I've come to the 5 a.m. class a couple times.
I want to talk about as much as you can. I know some just I know it's touchy stuff.
I think if we hold off one more week and then we can deep dive in it.
Okay. All right.
But what I was gonna say, man, like the 5 a.m. class, the energy is totally different than the 9 a.m. class.
Because it's intentionality in there.
Is that what it is?
Yeah,
the energy is totally different.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's like noticeable, like it's not close.
Nah, not even close. Not even close. It's a whole nother frequency.
And so I've heard you say that before, but I experienced it.
You experienced it, yeah.
Yeah, the frequency is totally different.
Totally different. Yeah.
And so, like, why do you think that is? I know you said intentionality.
Yeah, I don't want to say it.
Okay. I know you said intentionality. So you think the intention, well, you speak to the intentionality part. So the intention is
I
that
think,
5 a.m. classes.
Yeah, so because
to be fair, the 5 a.m. class could be a classroom, academic classroom. It could be a knitting school. It could be
so
a pool party. But I guess
I think I got the words.
Yeah.
The level of investment is different.
Got it.
And when you remember, I told you that the guys had to write an essay.
Yeah.
So I made them invest and put some skin in the game. Yeah. So
why don't people want to invest in themselves that way? They are seeking. Like they're seeking the free coaching. They're seeking the free. Yeah. Can you do this on the humble for me? Why? Because I'm telling you, it's totally different, and that's a dope explanation. The level of investment is different, starting with the fact that you have to get up at 4:30 in the morning.
Yeah, you can't wait till 9. You can't wait till 8. You can't wait
starting with that investment, you got to get up at 4:30 in the morning.
You gave me this answer on one of our early podcasts. I think you called it perceived value.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's the answer.
Got it.
The answer, the level of investment comes from perceived value.
Yeah.
And I think you gave us that definition when it came to maybe money. I think it was.
Yeah. We're talking about luxury items. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and how Louis Vuitton really is canvas. and how Louis Vuitton, how it came about. But what they brought with the brand is luxury and the value, and the perceived value that it's so much more valuable than other brands that you can have two purses. One is leather and one is Louis, and one came out of Ross, and one came out of the Louis Vuitton store in Paris, and the perceived value is going to be that much is greater. But that Ross purse could be as valuable or more valuable.
So 5 a.m. 6-week challenge is Louis Vuitton, and 9 o'clock is Ross purse.
Do you remember? Did you hear about that experiment that Payless did a couple years ago?
Yeah.
Palessi.
Yeah,
they opened up Palessi,
and then basically sold it at Louis V prices, and then basically it was like, no, this is Payless.
Same stuff.
But then they let everybody keep everything, and they refunded everybody the money and stuff like that. It was very interesting.
Yeah,
they probably didn't even wear it again after that either.
Right, exactly. And so what they did, they tapped into.
They left it outside their car when they pulled off. That's crazy.
They tapped into all the aesthetics of luxury, right? So automatically, if something comes from Italy, especially if it's fashion, it's valuable.
Yeah.
Right. So they had a Palessi. Palessi was it was a play on Payless, but then they had to make it Italian. And then everything was Italian in the store when it was just Payless shoes. And then you saw all these people who were like fashion icons or the fashion professionals talk about the quality make of this shoe, and $600 is cheap. Yeah, it should be $800-900. And they're like, yo, these are Payless shoes.
I mean, but it's crazy because you think of Birkin. Like Birkin's one of the only brands that are considered an asset that you could buy it. Like you can buy it today for whatever, and the price is going to go up.
Yeah. I mean, you got some other brands. Yeah, like especially with watches, like Rolex and some other brands. But yeah, to your point, these things are their perceived values. Like for example, diamonds. Diamonds are very, very expensive because again, this perceived value. But diamonds aren't rare.
Yeah.
There's tons of diamonds everywhere. They're not rare, but the perceived value is that that they are. It's rare, and therefore they should be more expensive. But again, it's perceived value. Just like art. So, some people will pay $1 million for a piece. Some people wouldn't pay 50 cents for that same piece. So it's all about that perceived value and creating that luxury feel and everything that comes along with it. Yeah. Right. There has to be some value tied to it, of course. But
I think we did that with you. I think we extracted you from the 9 o'clock. And we literally, did something outside of what they were doing.
Right. Yeah.
Like structured and everything. Right. And
guinea pig me. Yeah.
But when you did, 40 something pounds in a little bit of time, everybody's like, well, what's Rod doing?
Exactly. And then hit me and say, yo, what you can we have a call? Can we talk?
Coach is sitting right here the whole damn time.
But I want to challenge this though.
Go ahead.
Just for a second. So I understand the intentional, like the level of intention, right? But that kind of shows that there's only one way, right? Is that how it is for real? Like not in regards to like just the gym, but like just in life. Like there's only one path up the mountain. Like because my thing, someone could be the same level and have the same level of intention and be at the 9 o'clock. You know what I mean? Because their situation is a little bit different.
So I was using those words for lack of better terms.
Yeah.
When I said intention, then I double back on investment. So because of the investment, people are more intentional about what they're actually doing. So if we're trying to find a path, and if I think I'm leaving off this island. Helicopter's coming to get me in tomorrow. But if I got somebody else who's like, nobody's ever coming to save us, and if we don't get off this mountain, or if we don't get off this find a path, we're gonna be stuck here for life.
Right.
Then when I scramble for my path, it's gonna be different than somebody that thinks somebody coming to get them tomorrow. So there's no immediate like sense of urgency or anything like that. So these people are just showing up at a certain time and they're just thinking that, everything is going to just fall into place one day or one day I'll fix this or I'll do that or I'll do my diet.
But I'll say, EA, that to answer your question, yes, there's only one way. And that's to tap into the principles and laws that will produce the outcomes that you're looking for. So people may go, at different times, may do different exercises, eat different things. But when you boil it all down, everybody did or participated in the same principle. They used the same principle, or they followed the same laws that ultimately got them the results that they were looking for. Mm-hmm. Like the whole process we were talking about earlier, where you got to go through self-reflection. That's going to bring you to awareness. That's going to ultimately get you to transformation. You can't bypass that process. You can't bypass those principles. You can't bypass those laws. So yes, there's only one way. Now it may look a little different. It may feel a little different, but when you boil it down, you're going to uncover the same principles and the same laws that got both
that makes sense.
Tracks there.
That makes sense. Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah. So
I'm thinking about it.
Can't escape. How's business, man? You keep saying scale.
Good. Yeah.
How you scale something? You know how to scale something?
Yeah, man. You gotta simplify some stuff. You gotta automate stuff. You gotta eliminate some stuff. Yeah, right. You gotta get the systems in place. You know what I mean? Systems, and then automate, eliminate, simplify, and keep running the play to produce the results, and making sure that those results, can take people to the next level, and then run the systems.
Right.
That,
I was
plug and play. Right.
We talked about it briefly on the last part, but this brother, sharp guy, man, and he took on a new job, took on a sales job. And I just believe if you can't do sales really well, you can't do marketing really well, just shut it down, whatever it is, especially if it's business, because you have to be able to sell, right? And so he's in sales. And so we talked about, he was like, yeah, I just got here. I'm doing pretty good. And he had success before in sales, but I guess it's just a new arena for him. And so, man, we tweaked one thing for him. Yeah. You know what that one thing was?
What was it?
It was his discovery.
Okay. Discovery call?
Discovery call. Okay. Discovery conversation.
Okay.
Where, and this is kind of just game for anybody.
Can you talk about it a little bit?
Yeah. So basically this guy, he sells internet services, cable, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And so he said, self-proclaimed, he's not a good conversationalist, right? So you can have a conversation, ask a couple questions, and then it's going, okay, let me get into my product, my service, because I know my product, I know my service, which you have to know your product and you have to know your service. Mm-hmm. But as someone seeking your products and your services, you have to know their problems. Mm-hmm. You have to know their pain points, and you have to know, why are we even having this conversation? Mm-hmm. And so I helped him with that and gave him like a list of, here's 50 questions, mm-hmm. right? And so I don't know if you had a conversation with someone, if you, and this is, you call me a DA, but I learned this years ago, and it helps me tremendously because I don't think I'm a great conversationalist, but I think I'm insightful and I can ask good questions, right? Okay. And so if you meet somebody for the first time, literally just ask them a bunch of questions about themselves, and then ask questions about the answers to the questions that they gave you. They will walk away from you going, oh man, that's the best conversation I ever had with this guy. Because they spent all that time talking about themselves, and they did all the talking, right? And so with him, we kind of had a quick, class on how to do that. And literally he was like, oh my God, I don't believe it. Like now he's at the top of his game, and he's at the top of his team in all categories. And all we started doing was just asking people questions. Like, why are you moving? Why'd you move to where you moved to? Hey, it don't have nothing to do with cable, right? But it lets the person know that you care about them. Yeah. And when I know you care about me, then okay, yeah, let's talk about, what you got to offer.
That's good.
Yeah. So,
so do you think a lot of those questions, when they're talking about themselves, they're doing reflections, they're getting dopamine, they feel pretty good, and boom,
Boom.
When the ask
Look at that. It came full circle, didn't it?
Yeah,
and when the ask comes, but you got to have the ask too.
Gotta have
right?
that. You gotta be prepared for that.
Yep.
But he said he was good at sales though.
Huh? Yeah,
He's
he's good
he-
at sales.
He's
right.
good. He knew how to do the ask.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And
He just had to get the connecting portion.
right. And now he's killing
Connection.
it. He's killing it. And so now we're gonna get, because I put out there, I said, yo, if you want to talk about how we can go higher, because I mean, yeah, you're doing well, but let's go do great, right? Yeah. And so for a while he didn't reach back out, and so then he finally reached back out. So we'll probably get together in the next day or so just to kind of talk about how you get to that that pinnacle.
So that lesson was people don't care how much you know, or they don't care how much you got for them or whatever until they know how much you care.
Absolutely.
And you just let them.
And man, people, if you're in sales and you're selling something, you have to be disciplined enough to spend the time to let people know how much you care about them. Because yeah, you know your product, you know your service, you believe is great, you believe is wonderful, but if you don't pump the brakes, and because everybody else is doing the same thing, but you're going to do something different. You're going to actually find out about them. You're going to actually let them know that you care about them. And then you're going to come in with how wonderful your product or your service is. And then it's a wrap.
So
it's a wrap.
By you saying that I wonder why people that are watching don't like DM you more or ask more questions.
Or even put stuff in the comments.
That's what I'm saying. The comments, in the comments, all that different types. So
I don't know.
If you're on boards, you've cashed out of these companies and you're running these companies and stuff like that. Like, why wouldn't people ask? Like,
I think it's
questions?
programming. We have, and I mean, why is there a scripture that says we have not because we ask not? Right. Because it's true. And I don't know. I think people think, and you know who the most helpful people? Entrepreneurs. Because first of all, most entrepreneurs are not rocket scientists. Right. No, so they go like, I did this, and, from a level of intelligence or whatever, like I tell people all the time, I went to public school and I barely got out of Winston-Salem State. Those people want to help other people. But people just don't ask. Right. They don't reach out. They don't ask. So, and I mean, I know I ask people all the time, like, how do I do this? What do you think about this? All the time. And I don't care, I don't care about their name or their level or whomever. I know they got the knowledge. I need to know. I need to figure it out, and they can help me do it. So, but most people, they get stuck asking for help, period. Yeah. They don't want to ask for help. When was the last time you asked for help? Yesterday with the dinner, with the giveaway.
Yeah, in the chat.
Yeah, that just came to me. So so you know how to do it. EA, when's the last time you asked for help?
When I met with you a week ago.
Oh, okay. I forgot about that. Yeah.
And,
so yeah.
What about you?
Last time I asked for help, today.
Today?
Yeah, okay. I had a situation today. And I was just, I was talking to some people and they were throwing out acronyms and all that. I'm like, yo, you're going to have to help me understand what this means. I don't know what that means in this arena, in this environment. So, yeah.
See, but I feel like the thing is today, I don't think that people have an issue with asking. I just think that people are expect it to be presented a certain way. Yeah. Does that make sense, right? Like,
what do you mean?
Now we're in a world where there's so much influencers and stuff like that. Someone always has a giveaway, right? They're always like, give me your email and I can give you this, right? Like, I think people are, this is like one example of how people are saying, like, they're used to actually being able to like ask for something because it's normally packaged in a certain way, right? And the thing is, like, most times I think if anything, we have to be a little bit more intentional by saying like, yo, I want you to ask me questions. Like, you got to kind of have to give them a call to action. You got to sell it to them, right? And I think sometimes people are not humble enough to be able to do it without the invitation. Yeah. And I think that's the problem.
That was my, I don't know if this is along the same lines, but my approach today at the health fair was everything on the table was free, but they couldn't get it till they asked me a question.
Like I say, hey, you know,
that's good.
I'm an expert.
How many people was like,
I'm
good then?
A lot of people, but there were like multiple people at the table at a time. Yeah. So I would get one person to ask the question, and then I would ask, and then that would kind of open other people up to ask and stuff like that. So it turned out to be, for me, the time flew because I got a chance to just, you know, listen to what was going on with them and figure out how to add value to them.
I mean, I agree. I think it's the same thing. It's like it's a reward. It's a bribe, right? Like I just think people are used to being sold / influence like in a certain way, right? And I think you do have to be at a certain level to be able to say like where your pride gets out of the way, and you can say no, like I'm going to be proactive. Like I had a whole situation with a colleague earlier this week where I was afraid to ask for help on something because I knew they get paid for it, right? And I didn't feel comfortable asking for them to do something that for me for free that they do for someone else, right? And they get paid for. But then they told me, and it was like, yo, like we are way past this. Like, you know what I mean? Like I kind of got cursed out for going in that scenario, right? Because it's like, but it was one of those situations like I was willing to like potentially suffer because of my pride was in the way of like, you know, not trying, you know, because I didn't want to be perceived in a certain way, right? Because I felt like me and this person's on the same level.
That's a whole nother pod, man, talking about understanding the value of the relationships that you have. Because a lot of people don't understand. Because I guarantee you if the roles were reversed and that person had come to you and asked you for something, you wouldn't have blinked.
Yeah, I wouldn't have blinked at all. I mean, but I pride myself in trying to provide more value than I take. Right. So in that moment, I felt like I was taking too much. Yeah. But it was one of those things where, again, they said it was all on me. Right. Like they said nothing that they said or they did gave off that impression that they would judge me or feel a type of way if I asked. Yeah. But I got in my own way. Right. And then the person literally was like, yo, like spit it out. And I had to like then talk about it, and then you know was able to get what I needed. Yeah.
You applied a measure of value, right? And which was false. Yeah. Which means that you should just ask. Because what's the worst thing that can happen when you ask somebody for something?
They say no.
They say no. That's the absolute worst thing. Man, that was pretty good, man.
Yeah,
what you got, good. Man? What you?
I was going to say, me and EA met. We met this weekend.
Okay.
Yeah. We met this weekend. I think we got something up our sleeve.
Saw the problems of the world.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we got something up our sleeve, man.
Cook. Everybody talking about eat. Shoot, let's get together and cook. That's what I'm talking about. All right, man. Got anything else for this one?
Oh man, I done shot my load, man.
Right. Yeah.
You have me going today.
Hey, listen, man. We appreciate everybody that takes the time to pay attention. If you could, man, pay us back by just liking, subscribing, clicking the bell on YouTube. Go to your favorite place you listen to podcasts. Give us a 5-star rating. 5-star rating. Yeah. If we're bringing value to you. If we're not bringing any value to you, you know, you don't want to watch, don't talk trash, just don't watch. But we appreciate you. With that, man, my name is Rod Brown.
I'm Lynch Hunt.
And peace.